I met Brooke on a rainy Tuesday in September, first week of college. I was sitting alone in the dorm cafeteria, trying to figure out how to open a milk carton without looking stupid, when this guy from my floor started making fun of my accent. I was from a small town in Ohio, and apparently that was hilarious to him. Before I could even respond, this girl with wild curly hair and the brightest smile I had ever seen walked right up to him and told him to back off. She did not yell or make a scene. She just looked him dead in the eye and said, "Pick on someone your own size, or better yet, pick on nobody at all." Then she sat down next to me, stuck out her hand, and said, "I'm Brooke. You look like you need a friend." And just like that, my life changed. I had never had someone defend me like that before. From that moment on, we were inseparable. She became my best friend, my sister, my person. For 15 years, Brooke and I did everything together. After college, we packed up everything we owned into a beat-up Honda Civic and drove to Chicago. We had no real plan, no connections, and barely any money. We shared a tiny apartment in a neighborhood that smelled like old garbage and fried food. The walls were so thin we could hear our neighbors arguing every single night. But we did not care. We were living our dream. We cried together when we got dumped. We celebrated every promotion, every birthday, every tiny win. She was there when my mom got sick. I was there when her dad passed away. We used to joke that we were basically the same person split into two bodies. She always called me her sister. And I believed her. I really, truly believed her. We both got hired at River North Marketing on the same day. It was a small agency back then, maybe 30 employees total. We started as junior coordinators, which was just a fancy way of saying we did whatever nobody else wanted to do. I loved the work immediately. I loved building campaigns, analyzing data, figuring out what made people click. Brooke loved it too, but for different reasons. She loved being in front of clients. She loved the presentations, the attention, the applause. I was the one who stayed late running numbers and perfecting the pitch decks. She was the one who delivered them with confidence and charm. We made a good team. At least, that is what I thought. For years, we worked side by side, climbing the ladder together. Everyone in the office knew us as a package deal. Then everything changed. The director of accounts position opened up. It was the role we had both been working toward for years. The corner office, the six-figure salary, the power to actually make decisions. I had the best performance numbers in the entire building. My client retention rate was 97%. I had brought in 4 major accounts in the last year alone. My manager had even hinted that the promotion was basically mine. Brooke knew it too. She congratulated me one afternoon over coffee and said she was so proud of me. She said I deserved it more than anyone. I remember hugging her and feeling so grateful to have a friend who genuinely wanted the best for me. I had no idea what was coming. I had no idea that behind that smile, she was already planning how to take it all away from me. The Thursday before the official announcement, Brooke suggested we go out for drinks. She said we should celebrate early, just the two of us, before things got crazy at work. I thought it was sweet. We went to our favorite bar downtown, the one with the sticky floors and the bartender who knew our orders by heart. She kept buying rounds. Tequila shots, vodka sodas, more tequila. I remember laughing so hard my stomach hurt. I remember her hugging me and saying she loved me. What I did not notice was that at some point during the night, she swapped our laptop bags. Mine was black, hers was black. They looked almost identical. I was too drunk to notice. I grabbed what I thought was mine and stumbled into an Uber. I woke up the next morning with the worst hangover of my life, and I still had no idea what she had done. Monday morning, I walked into the office feeling nervous but excited. My manager had scheduled an all-hands meeting for 9 a.m. I assumed it was to announce my promotion. I sat down in the conference room, sipping my coffee, smiling at Brooke across the table. Then the presentation started. And I watched, frozen, as Brooke stood up and began presenting my pitch deck. My slides. My data. My exact words. She had taken everything off my laptop and claimed it as her own. She talked about the strategies I had spent weeks developing. She answered questions using the research I had done. And the room exploded in applause. Everyone was clapping, cheering, congratulating her. My manager looked so proud. I just sat there, hands folded in my lap, unable to breathe. I wanted to scream. I wanted to stand up and tell everyone the truth. But I did not. I just smiled and clapped along with everyone else. When the meeting ended, I excused myself and walked calmly to the bathroom. I locked the stall door, sat down on the closed toilet seat, and cried harder than I had cried in years. My whole body shook. I bit down on my sleeve so no one would hear me. I had given everything to that company. I had sacrificed nights, weekends, relationships. And my best friend, the person I trusted most in the world, had stolen it all in one night. I stayed in that bathroom for 20 minutes, wiping my face with rough paper towels, trying to pull myself together. When I finally came out, Brooke was waiting by the sinks. She looked at me with this fake concerned expression and asked if I was okay. I told her I was fine. I told her congratulations. And I walked away before I said something I would regret. 2 days later, Brooke moved into the corner office. It had floor-to-ceiling windows, a view of the Chicago River, and a door that actually closed. Meanwhile, I was still in my cramped cubicle next to the noisy printer. HR called me in that afternoon to tell me that while my work was excellent, Brooke's vision had aligned better with the company's goals. They said it was a close call. They said I should be proud of how far I had come. Then they handed me a congratulations card to sign for Brooke. I signed it like a robot. I wrote, "So happy for you. You deserve this." I even drew a little smiley face. Then I went back to my desk, opened my email, and started applying for new jobs. But deep down, I knew I was not going to run away. I was going to do something bigger. What nobody at that office knew, not even Brooke, was that I had been saving and investing aggressively for 3 years. While everyone else was spending their bonuses on trips and new cars, I was putting 70% of every paycheck into index funds, real estate crowdfunding, and a few risky startup investments that had actually paid off. I lived below my means. I kept my old car. I meal prepped every Sunday. I did not go out much. People thought I was boring. They had no idea I was building something. By the time Brooke stole my promotion, my net worth had quietly crossed 7 figures. I had more money than anyone in that office, including the CEO. And nobody knew. I liked it that way. It gave me power. It gave me options. And it gave me a plan. The night I found out Brooke got the promotion, I could not sleep. I sat on my couch at 2 in the morning, staring at my phone, scrolling through my banking app. I looked at the numbers. I looked at my investment portfolio. And I realized something that made my heart race. I had options. I did not have to beg for a promotion. I did not have to play politics. I could build my own path. I whispered out loud to my empty apartment, okay. New plan. I did not know exactly what that plan was yet. But I knew it involved never feeling this powerless again. I made myself a promise that night. I was going to rise so high that Brooke would have to look up just to see my feet. And I was going to do it quietly. The next few months were brutal. Brooke started treating me like her assistant. She would dump her worst projects on my desk with a smile and say things like, "I know you will make this amazing." I took every single one of those projects and turned them into gold. I worked late nights. I rebuilt broken client relationships. I fixed campaigns that were falling apart. And I did it all without complaining. But I was not doing it for her. I was doing it for me. I was building my reputation, my network, my leverage. I started having quiet lunches with investors I had met at industry events. I asked questions. I listened. I learned. I made connections. Nobody noticed because I was not loud about it. I was strategic. I was patient. And I was angry enough to stay focused. Around that same time, I started a side hustle. It was just a little print-on-demand shop where I sold motivational posters and notebooks with quotes I designed myself. I did not expect much from it. But then the pandemic hit, and people were stuck at home, buying things online like crazy. My little shop exploded. I was making thousands of dollars a week. I reinvested every single cent. I hired a virtual assistant. I expanded my product line. I learned how to run Facebook ads. Within a year, that side hustle was making more money than my full-time job. But I kept showing up at River North Marketing every single day like nothing had changed. I kept my head down. I kept smiling at Brooke. And I kept building my empire in secret. One night, I got a text from an old friend named Marcus. He worked in private equity, and we had stayed in touch over the years. He asked me if I had ever thought about buying a company. I laughed out loud when I read it. I texted back, "Why would I do that?" He said, "Because you have the money, the skills, and the hunger. Trust me. You would be good at it." I stared at that message for a long time. And then I stopped laughing. I started researching. I started learning about acquisitions, valuations, due diligence. I spent my weekends reading books and listening to podcasts about people who had bought struggling companies and turned them around. And slowly, a crazy idea started to form in my head. What if I did not just leave River North Marketing? What if I bought it? Around the same time, the company started to struggle. Upper management made a series of terrible hires. 2 of our biggest clients left because of poor service. Morale was low. People were quitting. The stock value of the parent company dropped hard. I watched it all happen from my cubicle, taking notes, staying quiet. Brooke was too busy enjoying her corner office to notice that the ship was sinking. She threw lavish client dinners. She posted photos on LinkedIn with captions like, "Loving this leadership journey." Meanwhile, I was having quiet conversations with people who actually knew what was going on. I was mapping out the company's weaknesses. I was figuring out exactly how much it would cost to buy it. And I was getting ready to make my move. Then Brooke decided to throw herself a huge party to celebrate her 1-year anniversary as director of accounts. She rented out a rooftop venue, hired a DJ, and invited everyone from the office. And she asked me to help her plan it. For free. She said it would be fun, like old times. I smiled and said yes. I ordered the flowers. I coordinated with the caterers. I made sure the lighting was perfect. The whole time I was screaming inside. But I played my part. I showed up to the party in a nice dress. I handed her a gift. I took a photo with her. And I left early, went home, and checked my bank account one more time. I was so close. I just needed one more thing to fall into place. 2 weeks later, Marcus called me. He said the parent company that owned River North Marketing was quietly looking to sell. They were bleeding money, and they wanted out. The asking price was steep, but it was within reach if I could put together the right investor group. My heart almost exploded. I asked him how much time I had. He said 3 weeks, maybe 4. I did not sleep that night. I called every investor I knew. I pitched them over Zoom, over coffee, over email. I showed them my track record, my side business, my plan for turning River North around. Some people said no. But enough people said yes. Within 2 weeks, I had commitments for the full amount. I could actually do this. I could actually buy the company that had broken my heart. The day I signed the papers, I was sitting on my couch in yoga pants and an old college sweatshirt. My lawyer sent me the final documents over email. I reviewed every page. I e-signed everything. Then I wired the money. Millions of dollars, moving from one account to another with just a few clicks. It felt surreal. I sat there staring at my laptop screen, waiting for it to feel real. And then my lawyer called and said, "Congratulations. You are now the majority owner of River North Marketing." I hung up the phone and cried. But this time, they were not sad tears. They were tears of relief, of victory, of vindication. Nobody at the office had any idea. Not my manager. Not HR. Not Brooke. I had done it all in complete silence. The announcement went out on a random Tuesday morning. The entire company got an email from the parent company saying there had been an ownership change, effective immediately. The new majority owner would be taking over operations and meeting with leadership that week. People were panicking. There were rumors flying around about layoffs, restructuring, everything. I watched it all unfold from my cubicle, sipping my coffee, acting just as confused as everyone else. Brooke walked by my desk and said, "Can you believe this? I wonder who bought us." I just shrugged and said, "I guess we will find out soon." She had no idea she was talking to her new boss. And I was not ready to tell her yet. I wanted to savor this moment just a little bit longer. The next morning, I walked into the office wearing my usual outfit. Black pants, simple blouse, comfortable flats. Nothing fancy. Brooke was standing by the coffee machine talking to some coworkers. When she saw me, she waved me over and handed me her usual coffee order written on a sticky note. She said, "Can you grab this for me? I have a meeting in 10. I took the sticky note, smiled, and said, "Sure." But instead of going to get her coffee, I walked straight to the conference room where the all-hands meeting was about to start. I sat in the front row. And I waited. People filed in slowly, whispering, looking nervous. Brooke sat down a few rows behind me. She still had no idea. The CEO walked in, cleared his throat, and said, "I want to introduce you to our new majority owner." He said my name. For a second, nobody reacted. Then people started looking around, confused. I stood up, turned around, and smiled. You could hear the air leave the room. People gasped. Someone dropped their pen. Brooke's face went completely white. The CEO handed me the microphone, and I walked to the front of the room. I kept my voice calm and steady. I said, "Hi, everyone. I know this is a surprise. I want you to know that I am committed to making this company stronger, more ethical, and more successful than it has ever been. I believe in second chances. I believe in hard work. And I believe in doing the right thing. We have a lot of work ahead of us, but I am excited to do it together." Then I handed the microphone back and sat down. Nobody clapped. They were all too shocked. But I did not need applause. I just needed them to know who was in charge now. After the meeting, people avoided eye contact with me in the hallways. But Brooke did not. She marched straight up to my desk, her hands shaking, and said, "We need to talk." I looked up at her calmly and said, "Okay." My office. 10 minutes. I walked to the corner office, the one that used to be hers, and sat down behind the big desk. When she walked in, I gestured to the chair across from me. She sat down slowly, staring at the nameplate on the desk that now had my name on it. For a long moment, neither of us said anything. Then she whispered, "How did you do this?" I leaned back in my chair and said, "I worked hard. I saved. I invested. I built something. And when the opportunity came, I took it." She looked down at her hands. She looked so small. So broken. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. She started crying. She said she was sorry. She said she had been scared, insecure, desperate. She said she thought if she did not take the promotion, someone else would, and she would be stuck forever. She said she knew what she did was wrong, but she did not know how to fix it. She said she never meant to hurt me. I let her talk. I did not interrupt. I did not yell. I just listened. When she was done, I took a deep breath and said, "I forgive you. But forgiveness does not mean there are no consequences." Her eyes went wide. I continued, "I am restructuring the leadership team. Your role is being eliminated, effective immediately. You will receive 2 months of severance and a glowing recommendation letter. I genuinely hope you find something that makes you happy. But you cannot stay here." She opened her mouth to argue, then closed it. She knew it was over. I watched Brooke pack up her desk that afternoon. She moved slowly, like she was in a dream. People whispered as she walked by. Some looked sympathetic. Some looked relieved. I did not make a scene. I did not publicly shame her. I just let her go quietly. When she was done packing, I walked her to the elevator myself. I handed her the recommendation letter I had already written. It was honest and kind. I told her I believed in second chances. I told her she was talented and capable, and she would land on her feet. She looked at me with tears in her eyes and said, "I really did love you, you know. You were my best friend." I nodded and said, "I know. But you loved yourself more." The elevator doors opened. She stepped inside. And I never saw her again. The next few months were a whirlwind. I restructured the entire company. I promoted people who had been overlooked. I fired people who had been coasting. I brought in new clients. I rebuilt the culture from the ground up. It was exhausting, but it was also exhilarating. For the first time in my career, I was not waiting for someone to give me permission. I was making the decisions. I was setting the tone. I was building something that reflected my values. People started to trust me. Morale improved. Revenue went up. Within 6 months, River North Marketing was profitable again. And I was proud. Not because I had beaten Brooke, but because I had proven to myself that I was capable of more than I ever imagined. I had turned pain into power. Now, when I sit in the corner office and look out over the Chicago skyline, I think about that night in the bathroom when I cried so hard I thought I might break. I think about the girl who believed her best friend would never betray her. And I realize that betrayal was the best thing that ever happened to me. It woke me up. It made me stop waiting for someone else to see my value. It forced me to bet on myself. I did not buy this company for revenge. I bought it because I could. I bought it because I wanted to build something better. I bought it so that no other quiet, hard-working person would have to feel what I felt that Monday morning. And honestly, that feels better than any revenge ever could. Sometimes the best way to move forward is not to get even. It is to get better. And I did.